welcome to our live session on creating positive relationships. My name is Andy Barker, and this is
Hi, I'm Rabia.
nice to see you all coming into the session now. So, Rabia, we've been working together for the last 2 months. How
Yes.
much do we know about each other?
I think I know a lot about our work together, but more than that, I think I don't know much.
Okay, so let's play a little game together. How about this
Okay.
one? So we have
Oh, the fortune teller.
yes, fortune teller. So I'm going to ask you a question, but you can choose which question it's going to be, and we'll see what turns up. Okay, choose a
Okay.
color. What color do you want?
I'll go with red.
Okay, okay, and let me see 1 second. And 6 or 7.
7.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Let's open 7 and see what it got. Okay, so what's the best thing about teaching?
I think it's related to our topic as well. I think the relationship that we can build with our learners. I think that is the best thing about teaching. I'm still in touch with some of my students who've grown up now and professionals now. So I think this is something really, really important. Do you want me to ask you a question as well?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Which color would you choose?
Blue.
Which number?
8.
Which number now?
7.
When's your birthday? I don't even know that.
Oh, my birthday's in December. I'm a Sagittarius. Yeah, it's
Oh
on
my,
the 11th of December. So it's a
that's,
long way
that's
away.
That's sweet. I have best friends who are Sagittarius. So that is a nice way to get to know each other.
Yeah,
What do
it
you think about this?
I think it's a lovely way, and there are many activities that we can talk about in this session. But let's talk a little bit about why. So, Rabia, why is it important to build positive relationships with our learners and among them? What's good about this?
I think as teachers, we think that it's very important. Our first job is to teach. We want to share our knowledge. We want them to be successful in life. But I think that if we build relationships with our learners, if we get to know them a little bit and we show them that we care about them, that relationship can help them be more successful because they'll be more confident. They will have more things to rely on, a person to trust, and more relationships within their classrooms to build on. So I think it is really, really important that we develop that foundation. And I think that a simple phrase of saying that, oh, I'm so glad that you're here, I'm so happy to see you in the class, things like that, I think they make all of the difference. And knowing what your learners want you to know, their individuality, I think all of these from the teacher side, they help to understand the learners. And when they see that kind of response from the teachers, they actually flourish. So
Mhm.
maybe uh, that positive kind of relationship helps them flourish in the classroom.
I think so. If we stop labeling them and see them as people that are also people outside the classrooms, we know a little bit about them. We are creating a better feeling of trust and bonding with them so that they're going to work better with us, hopefully, in the classroom.
Yes, yes, yes. So I think it's also very important that we see them as individuals. We
Mm.
don't see them as, a child or a kid or a grade 5 learner. So we see them, with their individual qualities, and we get to know them and their individuality, and above all, respect that. I think that is the keystone to building positive relationships. So if, what do you think we can um, I remember about Alan Maley's session. Do you remember what he said about listening to the learners? Would you
Yes,
like to talk about that?
he was talking about a colleague of his said that in a classroom, the teacher wanted to do this. Supposedly they were bonding with their learners, but this teacher didn't do it very effectively because he was asking questions around the class, saying, "Oh, how was your weekend? What did you do?" And this boy said, "Well, I swam across the Lake Ballyton, which is an amazing feat. Not anybody can swim across that lake. It's a pretty big lake." And he just looked at the child and moved on. "And you?" What did you do last weekend? So
Yes.
there was no recognition there. I mean, there was no empathy or reaction. Like it was an amazing thing to do. So obviously, the teacher wasn't really connecting or listening to the
Yeah.
learners.
So one of the things that is very important is active listening also. You're not just asking a question because that is what you do in the classroom. How are you? And you're not interested in their response. And you're like, whatever they are saying, you move on to the next one without acknowledging what they're saying. So maybe crossing that river might be like climbing a big mountain. So maybe if you had just acknowledged that, that would have made that child's day. So I
Exactly.
think that, yeah, so that
Yes,
is
I
really,
think they feel that teacher has listened to me and I am important to that teacher. So that's the message that we should be trying to give our learners. Let's have a look and see who's coming into to the session. We've got, let's have a look and see. We've got Zia, we've got Depsi, Fernando, hello from Sri Lanka. Hi, welcome. Adam Hussein, Hussein, can I join you? Okay, you're here, great. And Hussein, okay. Sadaf Khan, hi from Karachi. Sebastian is, let me see, loads more coming in. And we got Elahi Esanfar, okay, who's one of our members of our community in one of our courses. Lovely to see you here as well. Sahid Hassan, Dan Hassan, great. And Ayesha Hassan, lovely to see you here as well. Thank you for coming into the session.
yeah. And Aisha has given a very interesting comment. She says that an expressionless teacher can give nothing. Degrees just not matter. So yes, if you can't connect with your learners, I think qualifications are important. But the way you can connect with your learners, build relationships, I think that is important, and helping them build relationships between them as well. So, what are some strategies, Andy, that we can use at the start of the session or at the start of the class to help build the relationship and make it more positive day by day?
Well, if we look at things from the beginning, when we start our course at the beginning of the year, of course, as we all do, we have to set down some ground rules related to respect and working together, etc. But rather than us coming into the classroom with our set rules, we should make our learners in charge of that so they can feel that they have a say and their voice is important and they have some ownership over what the rules should be. So plenty of brainstorming. Again, we are listening to our learners, making them feel that they're in charge, and then we make a consensus as to what the rules should be. Normally, they're the same ones that we want to make, but they may say it in a different way in their own words, which is important for them so that they fully understand what they have to do. And then, of course, we can simplify it so that it's clear and memorable, and they can all sign it so they have all agreed to the same rules.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and
that's
for signing them, they can have their handprints, and then they can have the rules written here, and they will know that this is something that I have drawn. This is something that I agree on, and it would be easier for the teacher to make them, which rule are we breaking at this time, and then they'll be reminded, okay, this is something that they have created.
yeah, that's excellent. Very beautiful. That's lovely, Rabia. I love those hands. They look excellent. Yeah,
Yeah, and especially when they paint and put their hands over there, it's really like they feel it. They feel that they're part of that process.
yes. So so we have the rules to start off with, making it visible for everybody, and that a nice, pretty poster with their hand signature or maybe a real signature if they're older students. So we're building some mutual trust, setting down some ground rules, and then that's our classroom management for us, settled with them and agreed by them, and we listen to them, which is important. So let's see, let's talk about routine now. We've dealt with the rules out of the way for the moment, but very important because we can look at rules later when we're talking about some activities. But what about routine? So, how do we get into routine for the little ones? Because they're more active and they're. So, what can we do with the little ones? What do you think?
I think it's very important to build routines because with young learners, even I can't work where there's, suddenly I'm asked to do something. I like routine. Every day it is the same way, it's the same thing. So for learners also, I think starting the day with the greeting and doing that as a routine, I think that's going to be really helpful for them. So maybe asking them to know what do they want to start their day with. You're standing at the door welcoming them, and they uh, tap the board like this, and they're like, I want a hug today. Maybe I want to say wave and say hi, hello. Maybe I want a fist bump, or I want a high five. So this way you give and maybe you can ask them to add more. And audience, can you add some more greetings? What would children like? What would they love to use? So this way, you start the day with knowing them, and it's like you can also ask them, how was your day yesterday, and with a smile, and that sets a positive tone for the start of the class as well. And in the same way, when you're working in circle time, you're giving everybody an opportunity to speak, taking turns, listen, and maybe you can ask learners here and there, what do you think about that, involving each and every one. And just like Andy said, rules, we will be talking about classroom management a lot in this session, because that is the key to having a positive relationship,
Mhm.
treating everybody equally, giving opportunity to everybody. I think that is really, really important. What do you think we can do with teenagers, not just the primary learners?
Yes, because when the little ones come into the classroom and we greet them in the way that they want to greet us, we may have a feeling about how they are, and that will maybe set some ideas for us for the class this way later. But also for children and for teenagers, you could have something like this. So you could have I have some emoticons on the board of
This
different
is
colors, and they can just tick under the face of how they're feeling, and then we can talk about this in more detail as to how they're feeling, and that gives us an indication as to what's happening with the group, because it's not going to be the perfect class that we want when we want, because we're human beings, and they could have had a bad exam the hour before or the day before. Yeah, and we can work on faces, how we're feeling exactly, with some Play-Doh. With their little ones, they would really enjoy that, and talk about how they're feeling.
well, I was picking the other one. Okay, so we have some comments from our members here. Uh, Husna Hussain, she's introducing about herself, and she says that I have been working for 9 years in Sri Lanka, and during these years I built a great relationship with students. Positive relationship plays a key role to enhance the effectiveness in learning and engaging in various activities. That's true. Hi Samanthi, hi Oli, hi Sadaf, hi Riyadh. um, Sadaf Khan says learners should have a say to make rules for the teachers too. Yes, why not? And I think one of the rules for the teachers that should be unbreakable is that you follow through. If you have said that we're going to have we're going to play this game, or you're going to have some off time to do this, or you have promised them an activity, please follow through. And also that goes for the consequences as well. If you have promised them that if somebody does this, and you just ignore your own rules, then they will take advantage of that. So that is a very good point. Do you have any input about that, Andy?
Well, I think that learners also will tell us, they'll remind us, but you said that
Yeah.
she's not following the rules. Look, it's on the wall. So we can have helpers to remind us, because we're not perfect. We can make mistakes, we can break our promises, and we can recognize that and say, oh, that's my mistake. So the teacher can make mistakes just as they can. So it's not always reprimanding the learner. We can do a little bit of reprimanding on ourselves, so that they know that we're not perfect, and they can help us to correct things when mistakes are made, or rules have been broken by them or by us. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's important. We're not perfect, and we have to do lots of things at the same time. And we're a group, we're a team, we're working together.
Yeah. And we have another comment from Hanan Abbas Talbi. He says respecting students involve valuing their opinions, encouraging their growth, and treating them with kindness and fairness. I think that is really important. Um, and Riyadh, Riyadh says all are flowery deceptions. I don't understand that. Um, could you clarify that, Riyadh, a little bit? And we have Angela, hi from Sicily, Janet from uh, CILS Academy, and Najwa. Najwa says something interesting about working in groups and in pairs. She says exchanging work, wedding activities, including singing, dancing, sport practicing, clapping, praising, encouraging them to be better. And many others can spend positivity and healthy vibes for them. Yes, I think one of the key things in building relationship is sometimes being silly, sometimes talking to them in a silly voice, maybe uh, coming in a get up someday, so just surprise them with like, what is she doing today? So maybe they enjoy when you speak in another language, maybe bringing puppets in, that and speaking in another voice. That it's not just about kids, I think it's with adult learners as well, teenagers as well, they like it. What do you think, Andy?
It's really funny. It's actually quite comical if you want to be the hotel receptionist or the taxi driver or the waiter or the waitress, and well, the waiter, and you can make it very entertaining. And it kind of maybe it helps them with pressure of pronunciation. So if you speak with not your own voice and you're working on your pronunciation, it could make it easier for you because there's a funny element involved at the same time. So that's
Yeah.
good. Just experimenting with your voice is it's a nice activity as well, and we can have a good laugh without anybody feeling that they're going to be imitated. So again, working with the idea of respect. So all of these like fun, laughable activities, we have to make sure that it's kept under control, that they're respecting each other. Because with teenagers, there's always a little bit of bullying, maybe a little bit of imitating or copying each other. So if everybody can be that person with the funny voice, then it's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, along with that, I think getting to know you activities are really important. It's not just when you start the session, you ask questions about yourself or their interest. You can keep on doing that during the year as well to build on the connection that you have. So, do you have any interesting ice-breaking activity or getting to know you activity, Andy?
Well, I have one that I think most of you probably already know. It's find somebody who. So most of you probably know this activity. You can find it on the internet. You can download a blank template. You can make it yourself, like I did, on a Word document, or you can just have it on some paper. So depending on your resources and your availability of resources, on some paper, find someone who, and you could have a big one on the board, and they have to write the names of the people on the board. I have this, for example, and thinking about classroom management with this activity, I made a mistake this year with my class, playing Find Someone Who, because in the first column, well, you have Find Someone Who Has a Pet, and in the first column, they could all write for themselves, which we like doing. We like to fill in for ourselves. But instead of doing that, I remove that column. They can only write for other people. Why? Because if you write your own information in the first column, what you can do is go to the next person and just get them to copy what you've put. So they're not
Yeah,
speaking to each other, they're just copying from each other. And I was like, what are you all doing? Why are you all crouched over the table? And it's because they were just copying from each other. There's no questions or answers, just direct copying into the column. So I think that when we set up an activity for them to be interactive with their speaking, we have to make sure that there are no flaws, that they're not going to try to find an easy way out and cheat. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing is that, yes, they can write
they'll
down the
always
answers.
find ways, Andy. They'll always find ways.
Always find ways, and we have to be one step ahead of them if at all possible. But if we're
Yeah.
not, like what happened to me, you take it on board and think, how can I make this activity work better for better interaction the next time? Another thing is that they write all the information in their boxes, like who and what and why, and they get information. But what we have to try to encourage is active listening. So just as that teacher was not really listening to that student who had swam across that amazing lake, they have to try to listen to each other. And when the activity is over, you can tell them before, warn them and say, remember what they said. And then you tell them to turn the paper over and you ask them, what did Anna say about pets? Does she have a pet? What has she got? So you could try to test them to see what they could remember. And you have the person listening to see, did she really listen to me or did he really listen to me? And it's to encourage that, to get them to really think. And they can
Yeah.
get maybe a little prize or a star or something at the end for the ones who listen the most, so that they feel there's some compensation for listening, apart
Yeah.
from seeing the smile on the person's face because they got the information right.
Yeah. And something that we can also do is similar to finding, but not finding who, but finding your interest. So you can hide these different things, sports related, and play a scavenger hunt. So, if, for instance, you have hidden this ball somewhere and you have given clues where they can find it, and when they bring it, they work in pairs on groups, and then they talk to others if this is the game they're interested in, or they go around and find the person having um, uh, a sports item that they are interested in, and then talk about their interest. And then it's not just do you like it, ask them open-ended questions. Why do you like this? Do you know how to play this? Where did you play it last time? So maybe things like that, where they, you as a teacher also go over there and listen, and maybe you also show that I have also been interested in this game for this long, and I'm a good player of that as well. So maybe that kind of will help them open up to you as a teacher, and because they'll feel comfortable that yes, somebody is listening to our interest, taking interest. So it's not just an activity, it's giving them confidence about their choices and their reality out of the school, or maybe inside the school as well.
Yes, definitely. I think that, and those, that material that you've prepared, Rabia, is amazing. And it may have taken you a long time to make it, but then you can use it so often in other classes and other years. So I think the investment that we put into material for our learners will pay back, and they notice that we're making an effort with them. Another
Yes.
thing, yeah.
So something, sorry, Andy, something that I just wanted to share, that it's not just positive relationships between learners and between learners and teachers. I think it is about positive relationship with teachers as well. So I always believe that there should be a sharing of the resources as well. So if one teacher has prepared a resource, the other teacher can use that, and you should have that kind of relationship with other teachers, that if you have prepared something and she can use it in her classroom, she should be okay with that, and she can ask you for that. So we need to build that relationship among our community as well.
Oh, yeah, that's great, because we're always asking on the discussions about, how would you do this in the classroom? How would you do that in the classroom? Why would values be important for us? And how can we introduce that in our lessons? And this is so relevant because we're actually we're leaving it there for everyone to see. And that's really, really powerful. I've learned so much from just talking to my colleagues, talking to you, talking to teachers in the community. It's been fantastic. So that's building relationship among us to improve our skills as teachers and have a better feeling in the classroom. And when I think students always notice if a teacher cares and if they're enthusiastic about their job, and when they see that, they will work better with you. They're happy with you and they trust you to try to help them to learn the content of the course. So yeah, it's fantastic.
And there is another activity that is about my world in a bubble or a flag. So we ask students to draw a large circle on the paper. We call it a world bubble, and then inside the bubble we can ask them to draw or write things that represent themselves. For example, their hobbies, their interests. It could be a flag like this. Also, we divide the paper into four corners, and we ask them to write about themselves, and then they go on and make others guess what they have written, for instance, for music, for family. So this way they can get to know each other better. You have a lovely flag in it, we also about the same thing, Andy.
Yes, I had a flag, but I don't have it with me right here. But it's like that's really relevant for multicultural situations. So we could have children from different countries, different backgrounds, and they can share and talk about their favorite food, which could be different in different countries. And that's really, really important as well. Another thing is that when we gather all this information from our students, from getting to know you activities, find someone who playing with our little toy here, we should try to take a note. So we probably have a list of their names on our register, and just on our little book that we keep with information about our students, keep it there because we can use that information for further activities. So imagine we have to write something on the board about the present perfect, and we include relevant topics to do with the children in the class. They're going to show more interest in learning what we're doing. If everybody likes basketball or nobody likes football, we want to talk about football. So that's just so important for us to use it as, oh, she's talking about my football team, or and that will help them to keep them engaged and that they know that we've remembered.
Yes.
So that's a nice connection there. Um, so we've been speaking a lot about different activities that to get them working together, understanding each other, learning from each other. And just going back a little bit, instead of taking one step back to classroom management, I have a tree and I use a tree for different things. So everything that we show you here, of course, you can apply and adapt and change and use for different reasons. But today I've used my tree for putting everybody on the tree. So there are red, yellow, and green leaves. On the red leaves, I have the names of my students, and they've put their names on the red leaves, and they're all in the tree together. If they misbehave, they could go down the tree and end up on the ground, which would be a pity, like a rotten apple. But they can go up if they improve. And then the yellow and green leaves are to do with what we want them to do in our activities as we're doing find someone who, or whatever the case may be. And the yellow one represents working well. So if we see that somebody's working well, they can jump onto the yellow leaf. They can put their name there, or we can do it for them, depending on the size of the class, of course. And then we have the green leaves, which means being kind, listening, respect. So, very important qualities for getting through a lesson, aren't they?
Yes, and I also think that we need to catch them doing good, and we need to acknowledge and appreciate them for something nice that they have done. One thing include as part of that is also actively listening to what children are trying to tell you, and if they feel shy or if they can't share it with you, maybe you can have a kind of a mailbox in your class where they can write small notes for you and share what they want to with you and put it there, and at the end of the day maybe you read it and then you write a response and you share it with them. But if you can't prepare something like that, you can give them the option of a notebook as well. They can bring a notebook that they like and they write a note for you, and they write dear teacher, something like that, and then you write a note back to them, and then they put it on your table when they leave the school, and when they come back next day you put it back on their table and they read what the teacher has told, written a response for me. So that kind of relationship building, I think that also helps. That makes them sure that the teacher can, like teacher can listen to me. I'm audible to her. I exist to her. She's interested in me. So I think that is really really important for that kind of relationship. The key to relationship. It helps build trust. It helps build the communication that a child needs, and I think having that kind of relationship helps them not just in that year, I think in future in their life as well.
That's really interesting, Rabbi. I think that's a lovely idea, and I love your mailbox. I think it's also if teachers are busy and they just can't get to the learners that they want to get to or don't see something, it's a perfect opportunity for them to write something to you. And sometimes they notice that you're busy or you're having difficulty with something in the lesson or with the child, and you can't get to them. It's a perfect opportunity for them to get to you secretly, and you can look later and see what the problem is. Or maybe they just didn't understand something in the lesson, and you can reteach it in the next one. So that's a really, really powerful thing to do.
Yeah, before we leave, there is a nice comment from Muhammad Ali. He says, British Council is doing great job. Thanks a million for helping us. Thanks a million for being here and learning with us and taking part in all of our discussions in the community. I think it's your presence that means a lot to us, and your comments and your ideas that make it more engaging.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. It's been a really nice session. I really enjoyed working with you, Rabia.
Take care, Andy, and getting to know you even better through these activities.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so